What's up, everybody? Tobacco featuring Beck here on KRFF 95.9, RadioFreeFargo.org. It's streaming wherever, anywhere, however, in the world. Independent radio, the best independent radio in the world as far as I'm concerned. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm Wilson. It's 4 o'clock. Right before me, side stage with Trav, 1 to 3. 4 to 5, we talk about cannabis. We talk about cannabis legalization. We talk about local cannabis news. At 4:20, we open a big fat bag of cannabis news. This Thursday is no different. However, it's ironic because the name of my show is Canna-Talk ND for North Dakota. But there's really ain't been much going on as far as cannabis legalization or any news regardless in North Dakota. So I've kind of just been branching out and, hitting South Dakota as often as I can, Montana. But today, folks, we've got a measure that's going to start circulating. It's exciting news. We'll talk about it at 4:20. I guarantee it. This one's got money behind it. So, when there's money, everybody complains about something happening that they themselves can't afford to do. It's like, oh, those guys bringing in all the money. Well, if you had the money, would you not do it? And then what? You wouldn't expect anybody to complain that you had the money to do it? I mean, I don't know. But we'll talk about it. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Here we are. It's a gloomy day here in Fargo Moorhead to be exact. However, we're not covered in snow. I mean, we definitely have wind it's windy, people. I mean, there's like signs hanging low. Trees wiggling. I was looking outside my apartment and man, the street sign is just a woogity boogity boogity, and it ain't supposed to do that. I heard. I Googled it. Should street signs woogity boogity? I got a definite no. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook, blackcottagealchemy.com. Or you can scurry on downtown here in your fancy little e-bike with banana seat and long handlebars. Tochi Products. Go on in there. Tell Joe Wilson sent you and is looking for the Black Cottage Alchemy products that's sponsoring this show. So shout out Black Cottage Alchemy for sponsoring. The body butter, it's good for neuropathy, pain, eczema, psoriasis, diaper rash, etc. It's made with kosher full spectrum CBD, North Dakota grown hemp seed oil, 1,600 mgs of CBD. So again, thank you Black Cottage Alchemy for sponsoring this show. Now I believe cannabis was created by our Father, our Heavenly Father God himself, to use as we see fit, and I thank him every day for, creating it, because it really benefits me, and it benefits a lot of other people, and I show him props by going to church and shouting him out every Sunday, 10 a.m., currently at Light Point Sanctuary, while our new building is being retrofitted. It's going to be right by the tracks, over right beside, like, Bank of the West. Like, if you're at Bank of the West and you look north, boom, that's where we're going to be. What's the word when you not congratulating, but when you get together, that's where we'll be. Not meeting. When you group together, that's where we'll be. Oh, whatever. Right after me, Stinky Arts Music Mart. Locals on the 8. Radio Free Madness after that. Black Ring Ritual wraps up your Thursday. And again, don't forget Friday and the other days here on KRFF 95.9. Again, I'm Wilson. I'm rocking, ready to rock. I just wanted to say that if you're looking for some musical stuff, here's Talk Music Venue, Dilworth, Friday, April 22nd. The Johnny Cash Story with Sherwin Linton. Thursday, April 28th, 4:28 overtime in Fargo. We got Club Spirit with Reese Schnacky on the Proving Grounds Tour. That's Friday, May 6th. Keep all this stuff in mind. But again, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We're going to talk about cannabis. I'm excited to do that. While we wait for our church building, we do Thursday night church instead of Wednesday, so I'm going to shoot out of here a tad bit early, but I'm going to lock in some news a little earlier as well, so we can, so you can get all the maximum cannabis news you possibly can. So without further ado, I'm going to play some old Anthrax 1987. I'm the Man on 95.9. Okay, well, that's how we start Canna-Talk ND with Wilson off. I'm the Man, Anthrax, 1987. I guess you would call that metal here on KRFF 95.9 LPFM. Every Thursday, I get in here 4 o'clock via window or door, sometimes through osmosis. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We talk about cannabis legalization in the state of North Dakota first, and I am happy to say that we actually got some stuff to talk about. So we're going to talk about that at 4:20. I'm going to talk about a little something right now here as soon as I get through a little bit more of this red tape. Programming on 95.9 FM KRFFLP Radio Free Fargo. It's been underwritten by the Community Uplift Program, Happy Home Drive. The Community Uplift Program is hosting a Happy Home Drive and is seeking donations such as essential necessities like blankets, toiletries, and household items to help those in need to regain their lives due to the impact of the pandemic. Remember that? You can bring these by Community Uplift's office located at 101 8th Street, South Fargo, North Dakota from April 11th to May 6th. Financial contributions will be used to create happy home kits. You can make a financial donation on the Community Uplift Program's website, www.communityupliftprogram.org. For questions and more info, you can call Community Uplift's main office at 701-532-0563. Your caring may help others in need live better and more comfortable lives in their homes. And as they say, sharing is caring. Now, guess what? You can listen to your favorite radio station 24/7 online from almost anywhere on the world. You know this. Just go to the website, radiofreefargo.org. Click the Listen Live button on the screen. But the reason I'm saying this to you is that you can listen to the 2 most recent editions of your favorite shows on the station or check out shows that you've been interested in, but you couldn't because you were at work school. So basically, we're archiving again. So if you didn't catch it today, you can catch it up to 9 days at radiofreefargo.org. Type in show. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson on Instagram. I'll keep you up to date as things happen and when I'm coming on next. It looks like now the music removed and pushed it on YouTube is looking like it'll be around Wednesday, so the day before today. So I don't know what that means, but again, shout out Pilco for handling all that stuff and putting it on other podcast platforms. I salute you. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We talk about cannabis in a positive light. At 4:20, we open a big fat bag of cannabis news, but let's talk about this. So I don't know if you guys have heard the kerfluffle about Elon Musk's Twitter bid, but I'm sure anybody knows that Elon Musk wants to buy stinking Twitter, which would be cool. But here's what I'm going to mention because this is a cannabis show. Elon Musk has slipped yet another cannabis joke into a major buyout proposal, and this time it's his $41 billion bid to buy Twitter. Now you're thinking, what? Well, I was thinking that too, I was just laying comfortably in my bed, thinking about this show, thinking about life, thinking about stuff, you know what I mean? And whistling a little, maybe giggling to myself. And I came across this article. The billionaire issued a surprise offer to buy 100% of Twitter at $54.20. Uh-oh. A number that just happens to include a 420 reference to cannabis smoking. The number has a special significance for pot enthusiasts and for Musk himself, whose frequent inclusion of the reference in serious business dealings has spawned countless memes. He's offering to buy 100% of Twitter for $54.20, $54 premium. Just days earlier, Musk had joked about smoking cannabis at Twitter board meetings, sharing a meme of himself surrounded in smoke during his infamous 2018 appearance on the JRE. He types, Twitter's next board meeting is going to be lit. Now, as everybody knows, he's not going to join. But Musk's most infamous reference occurred on August 7, 2018, when he considered taking Tesla private at $420 with funding secured. The agency said Musk's use of 420 was a cannabis reference meant to impress his on and off girlfriend, the electronic pop star Grimes. So, there you have it. Just when we thought Elon couldn't get wittier, huh? So let me see. What do we got to talk about before we... So like I said, I just wanted to mention that at 420, we're going to talk about North Dakota. North Dakota has a ballot measure petition, and so the Attorney General has signed off on it. And New Approach North Dakota is the ones pushing that. David Stewart Owen is the campaign manager, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I have trust issues with that group. I have trust issues with both groups. For that matter, I have trust issues with a lot of people. However, I completely trust the man upstairs. That's the only person I trust. And I don't even know if you can call him a person. I suppose it's God. But anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about South Dakota. I did want to mention, and this is kind of like a side-related thing, is that the governor or the attorney general in South Dakota, the one that claimed he didn't remember or have any recollection of hitting some dude on the side of the road. Apparently that guy's glasses was found in his car, and a lot of people believed it was a cover-up. Well, he's being impeached. So let's give the justice system a hand in South Dakota. Because, come on. The details of that was blatantly obvious. He knew he schmucked a guy with his car. There's just no question. The vagary was it smacked of cover-up that a guy in that position could do. And I wasn't the only one that was disgusted with the system to think that guy could schmuck a guy, and because he was the attorney general, he was above the law. And recently I read he's being impeached. So that's the best news I've heard in a while. But again, sure, I'm glad you guys joined me. 420, we'll get into it here, and I'm excited to do so. We'll talk about North Dakota, South Dakota. And let's see what else we got here. Yeah, we're going to talk about North Dakota and South Dakota. I got a few other things that you might be interested to hear, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Again, I love everybody. So there you go. Hug somebody for fun when appropriate. And we're going to play maybe some tunes. Now, Jack White's got a brand new album. He's got all the songs out. I almost did straight Jack White music all day today, but I decided against it. But I'm going to play a little Jack White here. And then on the other side of that, we're going to get our Canna-Talk ND with Wilson on. So, without further ado, here's Morning, Noon, and Night. Brand new Jack White. You're welcome. See what I'm saying? Morning, Noon, and Night. Jack White. Brand new. Fear of the Dawn. That's that album. And that sets us right up to get this show on the road. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. 4 o'clock, I get in here. 420, open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and that's what's happening right now. So if you got a medical card, crush up some ice, stick it in that long tube. Gurgly, gurgly, friends. See you in a minute.
Yo, it's Wilson from Canna-Talk ND. The super awesome show you're getting ready to listen to. I think you should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll wait. Okay, enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to my show, where we talk about cannabis legalization, cannabis in a positive light, and just cannabis news in general. But it's only, no longer than a week old, so you know that it's 7 days fresh. Now, let me just say this one thing about North Dakota. The North Dakota medical adjustments made to the cannabis medical program happened last week. And from what I heard, nobody went there to suggest any changes. I think you can still submit changes. So if you can hear me and you're in North Dakota and there's things that you want done to the medical program and adjustments made, for everything that's holy, you need to call somebody and you need to assert yourself, because it doesn't look like there'll be any changes because nobody's stepped forward and made them listen. So that's very important. I just wanted to mention that. That's going to run its course. And so if you want changes to the medical program, I suggest calling somebody and doing it today. And again, North Dakota, we also have a ballot initiative. A new cannabis legalization initiative has been filed by the New Approach North Dakota, so we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But I wanted to mention this cannabis moment. South Dakota cannabis activists issue yellow alert for signature drive to put legalization on ballot as deadline nears. And that's another interesting thing about the North Dakota ballot initiative, the New Approach North Dakota, is that the deadline is July. But that's what greases the wheels, as we'll talk about it in a little bit. The Marijuana Policy Project, and people have been whispering like $2 million, and they're covering petitioners. So, when you got that kind of stuff behind you, things get done. For whatever complaints, people want to make about outside money and whatever. Let's get the inside money then. How long do we wait for inside money? As long as it takes? Or do we go with the you got all the money and we're going to, it's not going to be perfect, but it's still something. It's something that people without money can't do. It's like people without money always complaining about people with money, about their involvement and their ulterior motives. And I get it. I get it. I don't trust, people who come and buy up everything and then swallow up all the profit for their own, their own wishes, but I don't know what I think about it. But let's talk about this now before I get sidetracked. South Dakota Cannabis, they are falling behind on signature gatherings. So South Dakota people, if you hear me, wake up. For a ballot initiative, they're urging supporters to step up their efforts. They need the remaining signatures of the deadline next month, people. So they have around 13.5. So they got 13,000.5, 500. So that's 13.5, 14.5, 15.5, 16.5. That looks like 3,400 signatures or so. So if you're in South Dakota, man, get to working, people. South Dakota voters already approved legislation, and everybody knows that was a big mess. So the court ruling wasn't injustice, but they can't change it. So the only control is getting it on the ballot. So let's get it on the ballot. He said this is not a red alert scenario for the campaign, but it is a yellow alert. And to that end, he laid out ways that activists plan to make up signature deficits. For one, the campaign is open to petition hotline that people can call or text to learn about where they can go. They're also encouraging people to volunteer to collect signatures from others and hiring paid petitioners starting at $22 per hour. There's going to be gathering events in Grand Rapids and other major cities. There's going to be a drive-through collection. South Dakota for Better Cannabis Laws is acutely aware that cannabis icon Snoop D.O. Double will be performing in Sioux Falls next week. Sweet. So the campaign will be leveraging that event to collect signatures too. Absolutely. Go get it. Go get it, y'all. We got 20 days left to finish the signature drive, and we need to work really hard. Yes, they do. So shout out to South Dakota. They've did everything but not work hard. So I don't doubt that they're going to get this thing handled. Here's what their legalization ballot initiative would accomplish. It allow adults 21 and older to purchase. They can also grow up to 3 plants for personal use, and you're going to see a strong resemblance to the North Dakota measure initiative as we get into it. Employers would specifically be allowed to continue workforce drug policy, and that's the concern for the other group in North Dakota about, new approach in North Dakota with the money is that the cops are still going to be able to pursue Deweys by smell in the vehicle. So that's a little hairy, little gray area. I don't love that with the new ballot initiative. That's kind of one thing I've just kind of been reading. And you guys will want to go to New Approach North Dakota and read that ballot initiative fully, so you know what you're voting on. But I say let's rock and roll. But I mean, 3 plants is an allowance, but it's not a for sure thing. Everybody knows that. I mean, the government is so good at bait and switching. The legislators are so good at regulatory bait and switch. They put it on the ballot, make you feel like you have control. You vote it in, and then they vote it out. It's as simple as that. House votes, Senate votes, bang, it's gone. So, I mean, just because you're voting for a ballot initiative that's got home grow don't mean nothing. Don't mean anything, but it's something, and it's something. So that's what's going on here. Now, if you're in South Dakota, stinking sign the thing. Now, we're going to talk about North Dakota for sure. But I just want to talk about a few other things, and we'll get to it. Cannabis moment. New Jersey cannabis sales will start day after 4/20, and AG says police can use while off duty. Well, that sounds pretty cool. The governor of New Jersey says adults 21 and older will be able to buy cannabis on April 21st, the day after the unofficial cannabis holiday. So that's going to be wild. See how many people are going to be there. 7 existing cannabis businesses have been served to begin servicing recreational market. Let's see here. Acting Attorney General issued a directive stipulating that New Jersey police who buy or use cannabis on their own time in compliance with state law cannot be penalized. So that is flippin' beautiful. That represents a significant development for cannabis-related workforce protection in the Garden State, and one that also raises questions about potential federal ramifications related to firearm laws. The top prosecutor says that while on-the-job possession or use of cannabis is prohibited, of course, Agencies cannot take any adverse action against any officers because they do or do not use cannabis off duty. And that's just good news. And once that starts to happen, now, there should be zero tolerance for unregulated cannabis consumption by officers at any time, on or off duty, while employed in the state. That means that any cannabis that police buy and use needs to come from licensed businesses and not from traditional unregulated market. Now, I would imagine, wait a minute here, the safety of our communities and our officers demand no less. Should there be reasonable suspicion of an officer using the old puffy puff while, working the streets, or finding any observable signs of intoxication, including a following work-related accident subject to investigation, he may require to undergo a drug test. But again, it can't prove that he did it at work. So, Murphy also signed cannabis implementation into law, so they'll drop cannabis-related offenses, so good for New Jersey. Now, check this out. If you guys have been paying attention to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday at 4:20, I open a big fat bag of cannabis news on the best radio station in the world, as far as I'm concerned, KRFF 95.9, you will know that I have been shouting out this crazy highway patrol federal officers busting armored car transports and ganking all the cash because it was for cannabis dispensary cash. Well, and you know that there's been some significant robberies as well. Well, check this out, people. Cannabis moment. Feds, short for federal government, short for federal dummies, agree to return $1 million in cannabis dispensary cash seized from armored car transports. Now, what does that title tell you? First of all, it's admission of guilt. That's what that is. And officers and highway patrols and cops and federal people, they never admit their faults. They'd come up with something else. So this is admission of guilt. The U.S. Department of Justice agreed to return all cash seized from an armored car used by dispensaries during several traffic stops in California last year. Because remember, they were buzzing through Kansas and it made traffic stop of Imperial Logistics. It was state and federal law enforcement agencies stemming from this stop resulted in a series of events in which Kansas and Cali seized more than the money. Now, soon after, the company filed a lawsuit, which is awesome, detailing how a sheriff's deputy in Dickinson County stopped one of their vehicles from a licensed dispensary to bank and credit union seizing this money on I-70. In response, the U.S. Attorney's Office filed a civil forfeiture action asserting that the cash was connected to sales in violation of the Controlled Substance Act. So that's the shakedown right there. So a firm representing the transport vehicles announced Wednesday that the Department of Justice had agreed to return all funds. However, according to the firm in the federal suit, the settlement does not address the San Bernardino sheriff or the case in Kansas. So that's crazy. The lawsuit alleged Dickinson County sheriffs pulled over a transit van, and after a conversation with a DEA agent, they told the driver she was free to go. As the van headed back to Colorado after picking up cash from Missouri dispensaries, Robinson pulled over the van. During a 3-hour stop, they seized the cash, and no traffic citations were issued to their drivers during any of the 5 stops mentioned in its complaint. So, I mean, takedown, shakedown, everybody's driving to the fiery line, takedown, shakedown. What's the next line? You busted. So, that's awesome news. But what's cool is that you had to admit, they lost it. I mean, when you sue, now all of a sudden there's, accountability. And for them to have to swallow their pride and give back that money is pretty cool. And it says something, again, more about the need for safe banking and all that stuff. So now let's talk about this. And then I swear we're going to talk about the North Dakota measure. I swear to you. But I'll tell you right now that it is happening. It is due in July. But again, Marijuana Policy Project is kicking down cashew poo. So if you want to petition, if you want to be a petitioner, get a hold of New Approach North Dakota. If you're friends with who on Facebook, DM him, or Legalize ND. They'll all get you they'll all get you working. And if $22 an hour is any indication in South Dakota, because I believe they also have New Approach South Dakota involved when they made all their moves. was MPP. So that when I say we're in good hands, I say, the devil's being watched. So I say we use the money. If you need a job, come get signatures for cannabis legalization. I mean, what's the problem with that? Come get your money on and then get some signatures. And I will say that getting people to sign petitions is really nerve-wracking and really stressful. Trying to stop people and get them to stop and pay attention to you is really nerve-wracking. However, I guarantee you, if you want to make good money and have the easiest petition signature getting job ever, it's for cannabis legalization in Fargo. I mean, we voted for Measure 3, 52%. Cass County. If Cass County was North Dakota and North Dakota was nothing but Cass County, Measure 3 would have passed in 2018. And in fact, Measure 3 did pass in the state in Cass County. So just keep that in mind. So if you're down here getting signatures, it's going to be easy. People going to love that you're down there. You're going to get love. So just a little shout out if you're looking for work. Come get some signatures for cannabis legalization. So this cannabis moment, let me read the title. New York City mayor wants to explore, and that's in parentheses, putting cannabis greenhouses on rooftops of public housing buildings. So it seems to me like that sounds like he wants to plant cannabis gardens in low-income public in the ghetto. Sounds like a great idea, but does it? So he's looking into the idea of authorizing cannabis to be grown in greenhouses on the rooftop of public housing. An ambitious proposal that's unlikely to sit well with the federal government, which provides funding to support the NYC Housing Authority. Mayor discussed his vision for city-sanctioned cannabis gardens. I think they're stinking awesome. We want to explore the possibility of having greenhouse space rooftops for cannabis growing. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. That's hilarious. So now this is from KBRR local news. So we're going to cover North Dakota and this new measure for the rest of the show. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday I get in here, 4:20, open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and that is what's happening right now, folks. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I don't know who's listening, but I feel like at least somebody is, because the back of my head is buzzing. Just making stuff up. But I will say my new headphones sound great. And this is from KBRR, local news. Group wants North Dakota voters to legalize cannabis in November. So a group that wants to legalize cannabis in North Dakota has filed a ballot measure petition and plans to start collecting signatures to place the issue on the general election ballot. New Approach North Dakota, NAND, needs more than 15,582 signatures by July 11. So that's not very long. The proposal would allow adults 21 and older to possess up to 1 OZs of cannabis, up to 4 grams of concentrate, and up to 500 milligrams of cannabis in an infused product. Residents could also cultivate up to 3 cannabis plants in an enclosed locked space on their property. Now, everybody just high-five themselves, because to be able to grow 3 cannabis plants, that's great. That's freedom. That's no regulatory processes, really. That's as free as you're going to get. That's as free as you're going to get. But here's the problem. Just because you voted in, it literally means zero. If anything, adding something that the at state government level doesn't want anything to do with, they add it for a bait and switch. You think, oh, wow, these guys are kind of finally getting it. And they go, hey, they're going to like us a little. Let's just, let them vote our way. Maybe it's a party thing, Maybe they'll use this to get their party majority voted in. And then as soon as legislative sessions start up, guess what gets kicked out? That cultivation of up to 3 plants. I would almost guarantee you that won't make it through the first session of regulatory nitpicking, which I guarantee you North Dakota is the worst than any other state, especially when it comes to cannabis legalization and what they allow. So Fargo attorney and former police officer Mark Freeze is the campaign treasurer. North Dakota's policy of punishing adults who use cannabis is the wrong approach. No one's life should be derailed over a small amount. Our ballot measure is thoughtful and well crafted, and he's confident votes will approve it this November. Now, again, organizers plan to hire petition circulators and begin collecting signatures late next week. Again, I'm going to read a little of this, and then I'm going to well, let's see. North Dakota cannabis moment. North Dakota activists file new cannabis ballot. So, new approach North Dakota would allow adults 21 and older, as you know. Its provision largely mirrors the House-passed legislation bill that was ultimately rejected by the Senate. So again, it largely mirrors it. So everybody knew that legalization House Bill 1420 sucked. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew that it was extra regulated. Everybody knew the snot was regulated out of that one. Nobody loved it. But they were like, well, at least it's better than nothing. And that's where we're still at. This is still better than nothing, you know. And if that homegrown 3 plants sticks through the regulatory process at the legislative session, I'd say this is a great win. But again, I don't know how else to say this, but I don't know that I trust a lot of these administrative groups, especially ones with political gain and money involved. Because money is the root of all evil. Power is very addicting. And being a crazy addict, I know all about that. And how it is to just, all of a sudden you're in a gray area. You omit something, add something that isn't necessarily true. Say that you've got a certain amount of signatures when you don't. You know, say that you've got backing when those people don't know you exist. Just say the bait and switch, like just lying. I have a problem with lying. So both these groups, I'm kind of like, the devil's in the details. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, this is looking all right, because what's new is the coalition backing. So let's talk about it. So again, it largely mirrors the House-passed legislation bill. The coalition backing the new measure includes former law enforcement, a state lawmaker, local advocates, and the National Marijuana Policy Project, MPP. So MPP is money for you and me, which has been behind numerous successful reform initiatives, including South Dakota and, I believe, Nebraska. The petition filed, or actually Montana, I believe. The petition filed with the Secretary of State must now undergo a review, as well as with the Attorney General before potentially approving it. This is direct democracy in action, said David Owen, the David Owen, a longtime activist in the state, campaign manager for New Approach North Dakota. He says, we're excited to launch our signature drive, start talking with voters, and begin building support for our measure across the state. So here's the breakdown. Adults 21 and older could purchase and possess up to 1 ounce. I already said that. 3 plants grown for personal use as long as it's stored in the same location that the plant was cultivated. I don't know if that's the same house, same room in the garden. You can't bring it in from the garden. I don't know. The Department of Health and Human Services or a different agency designated by the legislator would be responsible for creating rules. Regulators would have until October 1st, 2023 to develop rules related to security. The department could only license a maximum of 7 cultivation facilities and 18 retailers. In an effort to mitigate the risk of having the market monopolized, the initiative stipulates that no individual or entity would be permitted to own more than 1 cultivation facility or 4 retail locations. That's pretty good. There would be specific child custody protections for parents who use cannabis. Employers could still enforce drug policy. I don't love it. With respect to past criminal records, the initiative would not provide a pathway, but they'd look at it later. Local jurisdictions would be able to prohibit businesses from operating in their area, so Fargo would be good, but then, Devil's Lake might not be. State's 5% sales tax would apply to cannabis products, but no additional tax would be imposed. Now, let me just read that again. The state's 5% sales tax would apply to cannabis products, but no additional tax would be imposed. Now, my first knee-jerk is, what? No other taxes? So you're telling me that 5% sales tax, plus say a city's sales tax, that's all I'm going to get a hit with? Boy, that sounds good. Manufacturers would need to pay a biannual $110,000 registration fee. Retailers need to pay $90,000. Public consumption would be prohibited. North Dakota's punishing cannabis is the wrong approach. If cleared, they're going to need $15,000. Matt Ruby, an active duty military service member, said he supports the initiative because it removes barriers for North Dakota veterans. Shout out to Ruby. It'll also create good jobs, and he knows that. Our neighbors in Montana are demonstrating that cannabis can work successfully, of course. Similar measures was introduced in the legislature in 2021. The bill from Representative Jason Doctor passed the House. He actually called into the show. So, following that defeat, some senators devised a new plan to advance the issue and that moved through a key committee, and that the Senate also blocked it. Again, the group North Dakota Cannabis Caucus, they started collecting signatures, a constitutional amendment, but they did not gather enough by January deadline. I would argue if they had more money, they could have, and so, and they're, and that's their major thing. Out-of-state funding, they lose control in North Dakota because they're letting money come in from other places. I kind of get it, but in the same instance, I don't know. Okay, so a bill to significantly expand decrim cleared the House, but it was later. So anyway, neighboring Montana also moved to legalize cannabis. So let's see how that goes. What else do we got here? So North Dakota Department of Health and Services, or another body designated by the legislator. I don't know. I don't love that. It's either one or the other. Come on. So all cannabis products in North Dakota will be tested for potency and unsafe contaminants, tracked and traced from seed to sale. I'm not entirely sure what that means, accurately labeled, but I feel like I like track and trace. I mean, once the seed creates the plant, how are you... Okay, I don't know. But a limited number of licensed businesses, testing laboratories, of course, cultivating up to 3 cannabis plants. And so there you have it. And I believe we've knocked Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Open a big fat bag of cannabis news at 420. So this is a quote from David Owen. This is a direct democracy in action. We're excited to launch our signature drive, start talking with voters. I encourage all North Dakotans who believe it's time to legalize cannabis to get involved during the effort, and that's the biggest thing. The campaign also announced it's hiring full-time and part-time petition circulators. So if you're looking for a little cashy poo, you get yourself going. www.newapproachnd.org/jobs. And so I'll keep you guys posted as we go along here. This is going to be an interesting thing, and I'm kind of curious to see how this plays out. Now, programming on KRFF 95.9 Radio Free Fargo is being underwritten by Moorhead Herbal Galleria. Moorhead Herbal Galleria is Minnesota's only CBD Delta house. They offer cards, vapes, CBD oil, pet tincture, and more. Moorhead Herbal Galleria is located at 2921 South Frontage Road, Suite number 1 in Moorhead, Minnesota. Their phone number is 218-512-0355. Open 11 a.m. through 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Sundays 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. for information. More, check out Moorhead Herbal Galleria on Facebook and their website, www.moorheadherbalgalleria.com. Everybody get together. Got to learn to love one another right now. KRFF 95.9 LPFM. Moorhead. Fargo's where I hail, and I'm going to play another Jack White, and then I'm going to say some stuff quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. Stinky Arts Music Mart's on deck. Locals on the 8. Radio Free Madness, and then Black Ring Ritual. And I sure am glad you guys tuned in. This is a great radio station. I sure am glad they let me come in here. Jack White is also a cool guy. My daughter and I, on my deathbed, will talk fondly of the Jack White acoustic show at the Fargo Theater back when they came, and tickets were $3 cash. It was great. But anyway, here's Shedding My Velvet, Jack White, brand new, 95.9. All right. That was Shedding My Velvet. Jack White, Fear of the Dawn, brand new. And what a crazy album. I recommend checking it out. I think I don't know what came first, the good album or the blue hair. The blue hair or the good album. But whatever the case is, that's some interesting stuff. KRFF 95.9 on deck is Stinky Arts Music Mart. So stay tuned for that in mere minutes. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy, blackcottagealchemy.com, Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. It's a body butter that's got 1,600 mgs of CBD. That should be good enough for you to go downtown, at least Tochi Products, and get some. Until Joe L. Wilson said, howdy doody. Educate yourself on the benefits of cannabis so you can educate others on said benefits. I'm going to jump out here early because I got church tonight. Which is different because normally it's Wednesday, but while we're getting ready, I do Thursday. So I've got work to do that I got to get done before I can get my worship on. So I'm going to jump out of here now, and I'm going to turn it over to Stinky Art. Again, thank you for checking me out, and I'll see you guys next Thursday. Until then, David Allen, Judgment Day. Peace.